the Town of Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting for June 5th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. As per usual, this is a hybrid meeting. If anything goes wrong technologically, it will continue here live and will be available on MCTV and taped for later viewing. Our first bit of business is Recreation Trails Committee. Jeff Wilson,
Right here.
come on up.
Yeah. Taking out the chairs. Hi.
Hi.
So,
So if you'll just let us know what your
okay.
plan
so
is here?
This section of trail is across from Amesway School. If you went into the trailhead and took a left, with all the rain we got over this winter and this year, there's been some mud spot that seem to stay. They're like a little greasy, and we wanted to fill them in with gravel. It's like 4 areas. They're roughly 10 feet to 12 feet long. And to make it more usable for all trail users, because right now everyone's avoiding that section and going around, whether it be dog walkers, bikes, horseback riders.
So this is strictly maintaining
Right,
what's already there?
It's maintenance, the
To
trail's
make it-
already there, correct.
Okay.
And if I,
And there's the water ditch there, the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a water drainage too that has some logs crossing it, and I walked with Mike and we found out that like, if we clear that, the water actually might flow where it's supposed to go into the woods, and that was a part of the issue too.
Okay. So has that been,
We clean up the ditch, the deadfall in it or whatever's
that might,
debris, yeah.
so do you think that would make it unnecessary to add
I
gravel?
think it would help with a couple of the ones on the left side. The other ones, probably, the water doesn't go down that far.
Okay. Any commissioner comments or questions?
Did you want to say something, Lynn?
yes, I was on site with Mr. Wilson. This was immediately following some of the bigger rains we had in May. As you can see, this is a snapshot of a section of the ditch. It's full of just debris and old logs, etc. You can see the area where it's kind of backed up from the debris and spills off into the pathway here. Yeah, this area is particularly bad as well. I think that if some areas can do without gravel, that would be preferable.
Yeah, I mean, the less gravel that
Yeah,
needs to be
exactly.
carted in there, the better.
Yeah, it's only
but-
gonna be like 4 sections, we're not gonna make the whole.
Yeah,
trail,
no,
like just the
I-
troubled areas.
Okay.
And all of these spots appear to be over 100 feet away from wetlands.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like it's all right along Ames Way there, except for one spot that's, maybe that's, what, 50 feet from the Ames Way?
Yeah, it just curves out and comes back to it, correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that area.
Yeah, I'm sure you're more familiar with it than I am, but do you have any objections to,
No, I mean, there's that wetland area that
yeah,
they cleaned up before, but it looks like it's well away from that.
okay.
It may be beneficial to use lesser gravel or try to limit it in these 2 areas that I'm pointing to with my cursor on the screen. Just because out of all of the other areas, these are in closer proximity to the wetland, but still appear to be outside of the 100.
So can you get the ditch cleared and see what kind of a positive impact that has?
Yeah, I think, Mike, that will help clear up the ones on the left, those 2 on the left, the ditch.
Yep.
Those other 2 where that curve is, that is just always, that definitely needs some gravel there.
Yeah,
And that's probably 10 feet most.
It might start raining sometime soon, too.
Yeah. It never stops.
It's just, yeah, the trail, someone's like, oh, who blew the leaves off? I'm like, no one, the water just rushes.
Yeah, it's just
Very
rushing
down.
down. Yeah, I certainly have no problem with getting some gravel in there to make it passable.
Yeah, and we'll try to put the least possible, we're not gonna drag
Right.
it throughout the whole area.
Okay. Well, I think, I mean, this really isn't even jurisdictional to us if we're 100 feet away.
No, it does.
Land that's
It's
under
just
our
land
control.
under our care and
Yeah.
control. So I move that we allow Jeff Wilson to add gravel to the muddy portions. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. On the trail bordering Ames Way, and to try to clear the
Drainage
ditch
ditch.
that is blocked. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next up, also recreation trails. Mark Scala, 715 Main Street, creating a new trail.
Okay. Well, I'll just explain what you're looking at here. This is the corner of Forest and Furnace Street, about 10 acres of town land on the south end of the sand pit. The red line represents an old road called Sherman's Way. It was cleared by the Trail Committee last fall, and building off of that, the Trail Committee was looking to make a loop out of this section of about 10 acres. So I volunteered for the committee to go through and just walk through and just put and flag that trail, and then walked it with Mike. So we're here tonight to get approval to actually blaze that trail, which will create a loop around the sand pit.
So the red line would be the,
Red line was that's just freehand drawn, but that represents Sherman's Way, which was one of the old roads into the sand pit that the Trail Committee cleared last fall, just as a out and back. So the green line is the proposed new trail.
Green line is new.
Which creates a loop back to the sand pit.
And if I may,
Mm-hmm.
a portion of this will be in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Roughly this area where there's this dot, the other side of the old access road does have some wetlands, but there's nothing. There's kind of the road separating the two. So one side is the wetlands, then there's the road, and then there's the designated trail area up here.
It's about a half mile, it's about a half mile. The green represents about a half mile
Half
of new
mile.
trail. A section of it that runs parallel to Forest Street was an existing trail that was overgrown, but majority of it would be new.
any comments? You're probably more familiar with this also.
Not so much
Not
that
so much this
particular
one?
area.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm familiar with the beds.
And the only wetland would be,
Yeah, it would be to the
Yes, it would
right
be-
of that circle.
Be around here. I can pull up a GIS map too, if that would be beneficial.
What I do recall, Mike, is the old road on the more recently purchased property, it was the Callahan property. Old Furnace Street ran through there, and I thought there was a bridge over the wetlands, but it doesn't get all the way up to there.
No, the wetlands kind of begin on the side of the road, and I believe on this area is where
Okay, so
the bridge would be.
this is a good idea, just to limit it to that area.
Yeah, keep it to that side of the old access road, this side, and I can pull up a wetland change map if that would help the commission.
yeah, just to have a look so that I can be clear what I'm looking at.
Yeah, It's
Wait,
basically
is this-
Furnace Brook, which really isn't much
Right.
of a brook anymore.
Is this the
Yeah.
water department land or conservation land?
It's water department land.
Okay.
Yes.
So do they need permission from the water department?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is roughly where the logging road is, or the old access to the sand pit road. On this side is where the wetlands are, and on this side is where the proposed loop trail is.
Okay. I have no issues with that. You do have to go to the water department
Oh, okay.
because it is their land.
Okay, and I just also, I want to say, I forgot to mention that the Wilderness Trust, and Mike, you correct me, the relationship here is a conservative easement that they have on this?
Yes, Wildlands Trust does have a easement on this property, I believe, or a conservation restriction. We walked the property with Mr. Scala, Mr. Bangs, and Mr. Eric Boyer, and one of his coworkers. I didn't catch her last name, but her first name was Zoe. And we took a look at this area. They're interested in perhaps doing some sort of training opportunity for their staff members to build these trails.
Okay.
So if approved,
they've
they
approved.
would assist
Yes.
in building the trails?
Okay, okay, yeah, if they hold the CR, they have to.
Yep.
Actually, I'm sorry, they hold the CR on the property that I was just speaking about on Furnace Street. I'm not sure if there even is a CR on this. Mike, did you find a CR on this property?
I would have to look for that
I think
CR.
it's
Yeah.
been owned by the water department for, 70 years.
Yeah, I don't think we usually have CRs on water department
Well, we have CRs on everything that's bought by CPC.
by CPC.
So that's like the last 25 years.
Right.
Anyway, that doesn't really,
So-
other than getting
But
permission.
they're willing to help build it?
Right, they're willing
Yeah,
to
they're
help,
willing to
so
give
if
up
they do
property.
in fact have a CR, that would be moot. Okay,
Well, I have one more question.
yeah, go ahead.
Would this be for motorized or non-motorized?
Non-motorized, all uses, but non-motorized.
Okay, because I know a lot of people use the sand pit for dirt biking and stuff like that.
Yes, which I think they're trying to discourage that with new signage around the different parcels of land.
Do you have any objection to,
Well, wouldn't want, if that was my backyard, I probably wouldn't want dirt bikers zooming through there all of a sudden,
No, this
because
would
there's
be
a new
under the
trail.
same rules as all the other trails.
As all of our other
which is
trails.
No motorized vehicles.
Yeah. They
well, yeah.
Necessarily
There's an
follow-
enforcement issue perhaps, but the rule is clear, no motorized, mechanized.
Would you be open to putting up like a sign that,
Oh, definitely, more signage than all of Carolina Hills would be appreciated with to discourage motorized usage.
We have fairly, it's about 1.5 by 2 foot signs, blue signage that says Town of Marshfield land and has various rules and regulations for the land. And one of them is no motorized vehicles. So we could put that up near one of the entrances or both.
okay.
Okay, I move to allow the Recreation Trails Committee, after obtaining clearance from the Water Department, to construct a trail at 715 Main. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good,
Okay.
thank you.
Now we have the Beach Department. And I see Cindy Castro is here.
Hi,
Hi.
I think Mary is going to give you some sheets to show you some photos.
Just to show you what it looks like and what it looks like now. Thank you.
So I'm coming tonight to ask permission to remove, I shouldn't say remove, to move some of the beach grass that is growing into the pathway at Oregon Road, and I'd like to put that grass over on Third Road so we can make a safe passage for people to get to the beach. It's narrowed down to about 1.5 foot wide path, so it's hard for people with carriages and wagons bringing their children to the beach.
That's a pretty successful beach grass. I
It
wish we
is.
could get that
Yeah,
going
we-
in some other places.
We planted that grass years ago, right after they did reconstructed the seawall.
And your plan is to take what you remove and
Correct.
replant it
Replant it, right,
where it's needed.
where it's needed at Third Road. And then if we have some left over, we'll take it up to Rexham. We could always use it there.
Okay.
We've had success in the past. We did remove some beach grass for a gentleman in the Sunrise area when he was putting in a generator, and we moved that grass to Third Road, and it's been doing great.
Okay. Any comments, Mike, or?
Yeah, I was on site today, took these pictures. You can see that some of the beach grass is spreading into the pathway. Ultimately, it would just be essentially trampled on.
Yeah.
So to have it transplanted and put into an area where it can flourish and spread even further would be beneficial.
Who will do the work?
Myself, I'll be managing it with the kids from the beach department.
Okay,
No machines, it'll all be done by hand,
all by hand.
yes.
Any comments? Okay, I have no issues with that. I move to allow the beach department to remove the overgrown area of beach grass impeding the stair access on Oregon Road, and that will be transplanted in other dune areas in need of coverage. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item concerns a property that I abut, so I am going to recuse from this discussion.
Okay, this is B4, Ryan Cannon, 1223 Union Street. Is Mr. Cannon here? Mike, have you heard anything from him?
No, last time we left it, I indicated that he would be on tonight's meeting. Is anybody here to represent Rocky Reach or the Cannon residents? I can speak briefly on this if you'd like.
Lisa, was Lisa activated or?
Ms. Messersmith, I don't know if she wants to speak, but she's on Zoom.
It looks like she's trying to speak.
Ms. Messersmith, would you like to speak on this matter? I can't see anything, whether she's
Yeah.
muted or not, or...
She's not muted.
Okay, Mike, why don't you give us what you have?
Oh, there she is.
Hello, Ms. Messersmith?
Uh,
Can you hear us?
We can't hear you, Lisa.
Her microphone's not working?
Still can't hear you.
this Zoom stuff at all. Glad I'm retired.
Apparently, people online can hear Miss Smith, but we cannot in this room. Jack, do you know the reason for that? Can we get audio? Okay.
Well, apparently she's hearing us. Give us a thumbs up if you're hearing us okay. Okay, great. Mike, why don't you give us what you have?
Okay. So I met Mr. Cannon on the property about 2 weeks ago or so. We took a look at this easement. This easement has been cleared up until the 200-foot riverfront area. There's been essentially really no clearing past that within the riparian zone. Upon discussion with Mr. Cannon, he described that he would like some sort of a pathway or an easement to get down to, or a cleared path to get down to the North River. This would likely involve vegetation clearing within the riparian zone and the salt marsh to access the North River here.
Okay, and from what, how this has been described is, this is an easement. It's been a legal matter between two parties. The work itself would be on Ms. Smith's property. Anything within the 200 would be Concom jurisdiction. So it would require, depending on what the work is, most likely a notice of intent. So that would be filed by the owner, I would think. We're kind of at a loss to discuss this because we don't have Mr. Cannon here to describe what he wants to do.
Right.
Would everybody else agree with me that this would
I
require?
don't know what the plan
Yeah,
is,
I
so.
don't-
Yeah.
We need to know what they want to do.
Yeah, and it should come from the owner of the property. An easement is, kind of outside of our jurisdiction, whether it's a right-of-way or easement, and there's a lot of different flavors. So I think it needs to come from the owner.
I agree.
Yep. And anything within that 200 riverfront area would need conservation permitting.
Yeah. I think that covers it. Has anybody else got anything to comment on? Ms. Smith, could you hear that okay? No,
Yep.
Okay. And
Get into signing.
I think that's it for now. Mr. Cannon wants to come in at a later date. We can discuss it further, but it's going to take a notice of intent. At least come in and describe what he wants to do.
Right.
Take it from there. Thank you. Did anybody see Craig out there?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Wave?
I get it. Oops, sorry.
Okay. Next is, the removal of trees at Leland Drive. Mike has been on site there several times. I went out with him last week, and the trees, with one exception, are completely healthy. And we did allow, Ms. Sullivan gave her permission to take down one dead snag that is sort of in the center of the picture there, the closest thing to the fence. But we did say taking down 5 or 6 other perfectly healthy trees, we were not going to allow. So I don't think she's on tonight.
No, I don't
think
see her on
we-
either.
We did what needed to be done there, so I think we can just move on from that. And, okay, 815 Ocean Street. Mr. Corbo. Planting of trees.
Hello, how are you? I'd just like to plant some arborvitaes on the west side of my property on 815 Ocean Street. There was some overgrown lilacs that were there that was removed with the neighbor's permission, and I'd like to replace them with arborvitaes that run along that lot line and into a section of close to my deck.
And I think also, do you need to amend your current order of
Yes, we
conditions?
received
Correct.
an
For
application.
additional work?
Yes, and that's that's gonna be on the 20th, the next conservation meeting.
Yes, it will. We received the submittal for an amended order of
Okay,
conditions
so
today.
that's on for the next meeting?
Yes, and that will capture some of the garden beds out front and the shower and various structures in the back there.
Okay. And while I'm thinking of it, let me note, the next meeting will not be on the Wednesday. It will be on Thursday, the 20th.
Correct, yep, I'm aware of that.
The Wednesday is a holiday.
Oh,
So now you're just interested right now in planting the row of trees?
that's correct, yep.
Okay.
They're gonna be about 4.5 feet when planted. I imagine we're gonna have close to 20 of them going along the lot line. The neighbor that's gonna be abutting me is very excited about this project and going forward, so.
Okay, comments, Mike?
Yeah, this, just for the planting of the arborvitaes along the lot line there, I don't see any particular issues. The rest of the work will come back under the 20th as an amended order of conditions, but time-wise, Mr. Corbo's looking to get these arborvitaes in the ground as soon as possible. So yes.
Comments from commissioners?
No, I think wanting to plant trees is a positive.
Is a good thing.
I agree.
Okay, I think that's fine. I mean, I move to let you plant your arborvitaes along the property line. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and we'll see you at the next meeting. We have one continuation, which is RDA 2418 on 32 Grotto Road. This will be continued until June 20th. I move to continue to June 20th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lowell, 20 Lowell Avenue. I will read the legal ad.
Chair Hannafin, we skipped over a old business item. Martina, 20 Dog Lane, erosion control.
Oh,
and
I'm
stabilization.
sorry, it got written over here. So can you give us an update on that, Mike?
Yes.
That's your,
I'm not sure if Mr. Martina or Mr. Zimmer are in attendance tonight. It was relayed to them that they would be here under a business discussion item. I was on site today. I made some observations as noted by the site visit pictures below. The area between the plantings, where those dead oak trees are that will need to be replaced, and the erosion control barrier. There's currently no erosion control blanket on that area. There is mulch and the area is becoming vegetated, and I did not note any signs of erosion, but there is no erosion control blanket between the plantings and that silt fence.
what about the degraded silt socks?
The silt socks have been replaced. I can, well, actually
Okay.
do not have a picture of that readily available. But yes, over by the construction entrance by the, I believe it's the north side of the retaining wall, the silt socks have been replaced and the erosion controls do meet adequately.
Okay.
There is another area further by the home where the erosion control blanket has been pushed aside, I assume for construction work or by the construction workers there. So this is kind of a piled erosion control blanket. It should be flush against this gravel. And then there's an area here where it's missing completely. So that needs to have erosion control blanket on it.
So they've never filled that gap that was in the erosion control blanket when they first put it down?
No, that gap is here, and at the edge of it is this area where the erosion control blanket has been pushed to the side.
Okay.
So that needs some work. It should be considered if the erosion control blanket should be put between these plantings and this erosion control back here on the 50. It was described that the erosion control blanket would be placed back there. The area is mulched and does have vegetation on it. It's stable. I didn't notice any signs of erosion. And then further up on the lot, this is outside of the 100-foot buffer, but there's an area of debris storage, a dumpster, and back here is a pile of soils. So if any of this starts to make its way down gradient, I would suggest putting another silt sock around the debris and dumpster piles.
I think you told them to put a silt sock around the debris or get a dumpster?
Yes.
Is that how?
Yes.
So they have the dumpster?
They have the dumpster.
So let's see if they put anything in it. If that pile stays there, it has to either get into the dumpster or be protected. Did you get any response on the dead trees? All the trees that were planted last fall are dead?
I did not get any response regarding the dead trees and whether after the home is constructed or the deck is constructed, if there would be ample room for workers to go in there and replace those trees. I have not received a response yet from either the homeowner nor John Zimmer.
Okay. Well, if they can't get it back there with mechanized equipment, they're going to have to do it by hand.
Yes.
So we need, I want you to keep monitoring closely. Any comments from anyone?
I've forgotten what the frequency of John Zimmer's reports are supposed to be.
Once a
Weekly.
week.
Once a week, and where are we on that?
He's been submitting them once a week. There was a gap previously a few months ago, but he's since been delivering them once a week.
Okay, so we're doing better, but there's room for improvement.
There's room for improvement.
So we'll keep, and did they make the DEP sign legible?
They did make it, you can read it from the street. It leaves something to be desired, but it is legible from the road.
Okay. Keep monitoring.
Okay.
And make sure John is submitting his reports.
Perfect. And I will reach out and ask that the erosion control blanket be adequately placed along these pilings and the gravel here. And would you like me to reach out and ask that this area is covered with an erosion control blanket? It's
stable and it's got some vegetation. Is there
Yes.
grass planted in that? Because I think the grass is starting to grow, isn't it?
the grass did not appear to be planted in this area, but it was planted in the area of the erosion control blanket.
Okay.
And that is growing quite well.
Okay. I think they should have erosion control blanket there.
Okay.
And we asked them to do that, so I think we should tell them again. Well, we didn't ask them to, we told them to. Okay.
Martina. Is that Mr. Martina?
Oh, is Mr. Martina on? He is on. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Martina? You are muted.
You are muted.
Is it gone?
Nope, you're muted.
So this is the same issue.
Is this the audio issue?
We had
Yeah,
same
this
thing with,
might be the audio issue.
Mr. Smith.
It does still appear that the microphone is muted, Mr. Martina. I'm not sure if you can unmute that.
Apparently, we have audio problems, with our system?
No, he's still muted on his end.
He is muted,
Yeah.
but you are muted on your end.
No, he's unmuted.
Still muted. Can't hear you. Well, I'm afraid we are having some kind of a difficulty here because you are on mute, and now he's frozen. Well, I'm going to move the meeting along. Perhaps if he can get unmuted, we can go back. But I'm going to go to the public hearings now, the first of which is 20 Lowell Avenue. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Charles Guilfoy, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Miles.
All right. Mike, can you confirm that all administrative requirements have been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Okay. This project is located in land subject to coastal storm flowage. Is Mr. Guilfoy or anybody from, would you like to explain the project?
Yeah, sure. It's a driveway replacement. The current driveway there is crumbling and falling apart, and I want to put a new driveway in, and we're gonna, I think, Mike, it's pervious pavers, right? That's what
Yes.
I'm doing. So we're replacing a concrete driveway with, I think, something that's more eco-friendly, pervious pavers, and that's basically it. I will say you can see on the left of the driveway, there's, I think, about 3 or 4 feet of dirt there. We want to we want to widen the driveway by a couple of feet, so. So it would go closer to that fence right there on the left. Right there, yeah, that right there. Right now, we were using it as a garden, but we've kind of given up on that, so.
All right. Any other comments from the public? Mike?
Yeah, you can see this line here where there's kind of a landscape tie in the middle of the existing driveway and the fence. That's essentially where the new pervious driveway footprint will expand to.
Yeah.
So it's roughly 24 feet wide currently, and it will become roughly 28 feet wide at the end of the project.
All right. So reducing impervious cover. Any comments from commissioners? All right. I move to issue a negative determination of applicability. Can I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, did you have,
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch that motion right. Was it a positive 5, negative 2 determination of applicability?
yes, positive 5, negative 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
It's all set? So I can move ahead with that?
You
Yes.
come into the office and they will issue the order of conditions,
Okay,
and then what, you have an appeals gap of,
For the RDA, there is no appeals.
No appeals.
So he'll be good to go once the
you'll be good to
permit's
go
all
once
issued.
you
Okay.
get the permit. So if you come into the office, they will take care of that for you.
okay, so I can come in like this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll reach out to you when it's ready. It's
Oh, okay.
typically ready Thursday or Friday. So
Okay,
tomorrow or
great.
Friday.
Okay, great,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, next up is Wilson Road. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Deanna McDonough of 12 Wilson Road. And the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yeah, Mike, can you confirm taxes and fees are paid?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Okay. Have we got somebody here to present this? Can you come forward?
I apologize, I didn't really know we were needed to speak. But, so I don't have
Yeah,
anything.
you can either stand there if you prefer.
Okay.
That's okay too. You just need to be somewhere.
You just
with
need
a
to be
mic.
by a microphone.
Okay. Okay. So we want to, the deck has like dry rot and it needs to be replaced, but it's from maybe 94 when the house was built. So it needs to be brought up to code too. I think the joists under are not quite right. And then to extend, we just wanted, instead of the stairway coming to the side, just turn it so it's coming away from the house. That was kind of it.
Okay. Mike, have you got comments on this?
Yes, all the current deck is roughly 8 foot by 14 foot. The proposed deck is 12 foot by 20 feet. 3 additional diamond piers will be utilized to support the structure, and a small slab will support the stairs, as proposed.
Okay, I took a look at it today. It's pretty straightforward. The stairs are on some kind of landing already, so I consider that a like for like, and the diamond piers are an improvement. Any comments from other commissioners?
No, looks good to me.
Okay, any comments from the public on this? I hear none. In that case, I'd like to make a motion. Any particular orders for this, Mike, or just standard conditions?
Yes, I would suggest the following. Ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and to see the conservation administrator or agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to issue a +5 and a -2. Have I got a second on that?
Second?
Second is Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, Mike? Thank you. You're good to
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is 33 Breakwater Court. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wetlands Protection Act and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Stephen and Chris Sweeney of 33 Breakwater Court. Is someone here to present? Okay. Administrative requirements?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have a current structure that's up there, it's been there since we moved there, and it needs to be rebuilt. It's just aged, it hasn't aged properly, so we want to rebuild it and make it flush with the side of the house. No real structure change, just needs to be rebuilt.
Okay. Comments, Mike?
Yes. Sorry, referencing the wrong one. The homeowner would like to demo existing 12 by 12 structure. This addition also supported by similar footings as the porch, and replace it with a 12 by 16 structure. So this structure would roughly line up with the side of the home, and then all of these, the decking and everything would be replaced as well with the scope of work. What else? There are no prior permits for this property, and 3 new diamond pier footings would be implemented to support the enlarged structure.
Okay. Any commissioner comments or questions? I do not have any issues here. Any comment from the public? Hearing none, I move to issue a DOA with a +5 and a -2. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, now we have 25 Damon's Point Circle. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, to consider the request for amended orders of conditions filed by Marilyn White. And I see Mr. Servant is here to present for us.
Good evening. Yes, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. Ms. White is also here. I'm fine. We can feel free to come up if you want. So you may remember we recently got this raise and rebuild approved. What we're amending tonight is just a movement of the house on the property, with the intent of just moving it to the rear or to the south to remove the structure from the flood zone. So that's really what we're here for, just a move straight back, which will require the rear of the house to be put on, a section of the rear of the house, 10 feet to be put on piers because of its proximity to the septic, but that's all outside the jurisdiction. The driveway and obviously would have to be extended a little bit to move the house. It moved about 10 feet. So that's really what we're here for tonight, to amend it, slide it back to get it out of the flood zone, so we don't have to flood-proof the foundation and flood vents. So it made sense for the homeowner to amend this, just to move it back to
Okay.
out of the flood zone for now.
I know that the Board of Health
Yes.
had a concern, but
Yep.
that's been solved by the piers under the house behind, in the back?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And the building commissioner notes that this will need a ZBA.
Okay.
A modification of the ZBA special permit,
Yep.
okay? Do you have any comments, Mike?
Yep, I would suggest issuing with the same conditions associated with the original filing, SC 423067. And also, I would like to point out that no elevation cert would be needed as the home is now outside of land subject to storm flowage.
Okay. Any other commissioner comment?
No, makes sense.
Any public comment? Okay. Hearing none, I move to amend the, orders of conditions to allow the house to be moved back 10 feet and out of the floodplain. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And now 96 Beach Street.
Don't go anywhere, Rick.
Yep. Okay, in compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, to consider the request for an amended order of conditions filed by 96 Beach Street Realty Trust, and Vice Chair O'Donnell is the hearing officer.
Just to confirm everything's in order.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, hello again. Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. This is very similar to the last one. Previously approval for elevate the existing structure and relocate it. The design team has looked at the structure and it's not suitable to be elevated and moved. So we're here just to modify our order of conditions for an entirely new structure on the same foundation that we were approved at, same height, same position, same size, same footprint. Just a new structure being built on it instead of modifying the old one. And that's all we're here for tonight.
Got any comments, Mike?
Yes. With the amended site plan, a small landing is proposed on the side of the garage. 8 flood vents are still proposed. The original filing has an impervious area increase of 1,991 square feet. The amended site plan has a 2,030 square foot increase. This is the only conservation permit for the property, and it's within the flood zone, so a elevation cert would be needed. And I would suggest issuing the same special conditions that were issued with 3079, SE 42 3079.
Just out of curiosity, Rick, if it's the same footprint, what's the difference in?
I was curious about that too. I didn't recollect that it was a change from the existing coverage. There isn't, there shouldn't be, unless I'm missing something, Mike.
Is that from the original to the proposed?
Yeah, the existing house is 1925 and the proposed is 2030, so an increase because of the expanded footprint, but shouldn't be any different between what we
Okay.
approved the last time and tonight.
That's what I thought from the way you
Right.
described it. Do you see what it's saying, Mike?
Yes, it should be the same square footage from the proposed as the amended proposed.
It should be, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I
Well,
must
it
have
is.
referenced the other site plan.
Yes.
Or a different site plan.
Any comments from other commissioners? Any comments from the public? I don't see anything. I make a motion to approve the amended order of conditions. Do I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay, 204 Winslow Cemetery. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, to consider the notice of intent filed by Matthew Ward, and the hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
It's a small difference.
Okay.
Oh, 40 feet. Yeah, it must be one of those.
From Michael to
I noticed that this one was.
So
Okay.
forgive me if
It's fun.
the numbers are good.
Okay, Michael, I just was waiting to, so as far as Winslow Cemetery Road goes, we're all set with taxes, butter
Yep.
notification?
Taxes, fees, and abutters have been met.
Okay. Is there anyone here to talk about the project?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Paul Gunn from Morse Engineering. I'm here to represent the applicant.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So just again for the record, my name is Paul Gunn. I'm a project engineer with Morse Engineering. Here tonight to represent the applicant for the notice of intent to upgrade a septic system at 204 Winslow Cemetery Road. The site currently consists of an existing single-family dwelling that is served by a rear yard septic, which is currently considered to be in a state of failure. The property has frontage on Winslow Cemetery Road to the west and includes a mixture of lawn, brush, and wooded areas. The site generally slopes down gradient to the east where the wetland resource areas lie. These include a bordering vegetated wetland, which was delineated by South River Environmental in April of this year, as well as a FEMA Zone AE, denoted by elevation 9. The eastern edge of the property also includes a riverfront area associated with an unnamed perennial stream, though septic upgrades located at this distance are typically exempt from the RFA standards. The applicant is proposing to replace their current septic with a new Presby leaching field. We've placed all the septic components as far from possible from the resource areas while maintaining flow by gravity, which increased the septic setback between the BVW and the leach field from 25 feet to 88 feet, though a small corner of the field still lies within the FEMA zone. We've proposed an erosion control barrier down gradient of the limit of work, and all disturbed areas post-construction will be stabilized with loam and seed. That's all I have. I'll turn it back to the commission. Thank you.
Okay. I was out and visited the site on Monday. Everything looked straightforward to me. Although one thing I did notice when I was looking at the site plan, there seemed to be, where the house is located and where the system's going to be located, there seems to be quite a bit of brush that needs to be cleared. Correct, Mike?
Yes, there is.
Okay, and I didn't notice that at all in the narrative. It did mention that, that there would be, there was a clearly defined limits, scope of the work in the field in order to minimize the extent of clearing and soil disturbance. So I guess my only question then is, Mike, I think there has to be some clearing, and are we gonna, how do we want that amount of clearing delineated?
There has to be some clearing there, as noted in the site plan. You can see the old tree line is approximately here. The proposed tree line would be cutting back into this area. I would suggest that to keep, to prevent erosion or encroachment in the future, to place conservation markers on the edge of tree line around this property, and specifically within the 100-foot buffer as noted by this line here.
Okay. Paul, is that clear to you? Did you follow what Mike was saying?
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly amenable to conservation posts.
Okay, all right. Those will be under the special conditions then?
Yes, we could add that to the special conditions. I'm not sure how many you feel would be adequate there. Maybe maybe 4. One kind of here at the corner of the tree line on the 100, one here, and then one over here on the corner of the tree line and 100. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Paul, makes sense to you?
We can certainly do that.
Okay, I noted the Board of Health has the plan, and they don't anticipate having any design issue, questions or issues with the design that had not been reviewed yet. So I think, it's pretty straightforward to me. Like I said, the only mystery I had was the amount of clearing that needed to get done. So I think we're good on that. Any commissioners have any questions?
I have one question about the NHESP priority habitat limits. Are they outside of this property?
They are outside of the property. The limit essentially follows the parcel boundary.
The parcel boundary, okay.
Okay, and no one in the audience or on Zoom have any questions or concerns? So, given that's the case, I'm gonna make a motion. We're also with special conditions, Mike?
Yes, I would suggest the 4 conservation markers on edge of lawn within the 100 as noted during this hearing. General conditions 1 through 18. Prior to construction, conditions 5 and 2. During construction, condition 11. After construction, condition 1. And erosion control, condition 1.
Okay, all right. So, no other questions or comments. I'm going to make a motion that we issue the orders of condition. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. I guess we're good to go, Paul?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last hearing is 99 Bayberry Road. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent filed by John and Patricia Galafaro for 99 Bayberry Road, and the hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
Okay. Mike, we're all set with taxes and a butter notification?
Yes, taxes, fees, and abutters have been met.
And we have a DEP number, we're all set there, okay. Rick,
Good evening.
take it away.
Okay, so this project here is for reconstruction of the existing deck that's there and the expansion of an existing front porch. I don't know if you had a chance to go out there.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I did go out there on Monday. It was-
Yeah, this is right on the salt marsh.
Yep.
It's also in an AE10 flood zone.
Yep.
So all the work's inside there. It's extremely, it's only 3 feet off the salt marsh where this existing deck is. The deck is in poor condition. I've been working with the contractor and the homeowner. They are going to rebuild this, or are hoping to rebuild this deck in the exact same footprint, make it meet code. The footings are not in good shape. They're proposing to replace any bad footings, which the contractor feels is probably most or all of them, with diamond piers. According to the architectural plans, it looks like there might be 19 potential diamond piers going in on that rear inside deck there. The other portion of the project is in the front of the house is an existing porch that the homeowners have a desire to expand. They're proposing to expand it to 20 feet in width, 4-foot depth. This is also going to be on diamond piers. I counted 5 on the architectural plans, proposed diamond piers. Silt sock to protect the salt marsh during removal of any of the footings and any construction work going on out there. And that's essentially what these folks are hoping to do on the property. Reconstruct the deck in the exact same footprint and enlarge the existing front porch.
Okay. Yeah. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yes, the applicant would like to increase the front landing, as Rick has described, to 20 by 4 foot on helical piles. And then all work, is that correct?
That's correct, Mike.
Okay,
Forgive me.
perfect.
Helical.
Yeah.
Helical screws, not diamond piers, correct?
None of, I stand corrected. I wrote diamond piers in my, they are all going to be helical screws,
Yeah, that's,
for the record. Not diamond piers on the front, on the deck or the porch, all helical screws. Thank you.
All work would be done within pre-disturbed areas. The same footprint would be utilized for the rear deck. At the closest point, this deck is roughly 3 feet from the salt marsh. For erosion control, the applicant is proposing a silt sock around the limit of work. It could be beneficial to put a conservation marker off the closest corner of that deck. It's up to the commission.
all right. Commissioners, I don't know if anyone else saw the site. Rebuilding the deck, I don't know, the difference between a rebuild versus, take it away, but that I couldn't understand why that deck was still there in the first place.
Oh, right, yes.
But that's not my concern, but I think the plan, makes sense. Any questions or comments, or?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bert.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I would, certainly a conservation marker at the 3-foot gap, but perhaps another one so that,
Perfect.
Two points.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Wetland
to
flag 4,
be
right,
consistent with the last hearing, if we're gonna put conservation markers at 100-foot, certainly.
Right, put it up.
I mean, the water comes right up to the
Yeah.
backyard for all,
I'm sure
the deck for all
come
intents.
up more than,
Well, on a typical day, yeah.
yeah, sure.
One at wetland flag 4 and then one at wetland flag 2. Just noted.
4 is right at the 3-foot mark, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
And 2,
4 and 2. Or, somewhere in there between 2 and 3, yeah.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. So, no other questions or comments. I'm going to make a motion to issue the orders of condition. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're good to go. Thanks, Rick.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
I would like to just clarify one point on a previous discussion. The 96 Beach Road, I confirmed with Agent Anoya that the original was proposed as a total of 1,991 square feet, and the amended proposed is at 2,030 square feet. So it's a small increase of about 40 square feet. I just wanted to make that clear for the record.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes our hearings. Now we have requests for certificate of compliance. The first being SE 422776 and SE 422887, Brewster Road, Chilton Street. And I see Attorney Creed is here, so.
I am. So, as I stated in the letter of May 2nd, we're seeking a one-year extension for both 2776 and 2887 with regard to the deadline, which comes up June 8th. The issue that has arisen is the construction of Brewster Road with the improved drainage, or the drainage that currently doesn't exist there. In the course of obtaining a purchaser for the property at a price of $270,000, it was determined that to build Chilton Street and Brewster Road would put the homeowner, or the property owner, at a loss of approximately $148,000 in order to build all of the infrastructure that was required by both the planning board and the additional improvements that were required by the Conservation Commission. As a result, we decided to test the waters with regard to whether or not we had frontage under zoning. The building commissioner, zoning code enforcement officer, denied that request. We appealed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and by way of a 5-0 unanimous decision, the Zoning Board of Appeals agreed with us that we would have frontage if we built Chilton Street to the 50-foot by 20-foot requirements of the planning board and in accordance with their standards. The plan right now is to build everything that we've shown as approved by both the 2776 order of conditions and the 2887 order of conditions that are within your jurisdiction. But obviously, if we don't have to build Brewster Road, that provides us the ability to sell the lot and have Ms. Murphy come out with some money for the value of her lot. In addition, although, you know, it clearly it isn't the primary focus of our concern, but if we don't have to build Brewster Road, that lessens the drainage that's going to go into these structures and ultimately into the marsh, the wetlands areas. So not having to build Brewster Road is a net win. It's a win for us, and it should be a win for the Conservation Commission, because all of the infrastructure that you folks reviewed by way of your review with your peer review expert, which was Goldman, I can't remember if they have a second name in there, but to the tune of $14,000 that we paid to them for the drainage and improvements to Brewster Road would be unnecessary, obviously, if we don't have to build it. And that lessens the impacts on the wetlands as well. So all we're seeking right now, because that decision was on appeal by both the planning board and Mr. Ox, who's one of the abutters, there are currently cross motions for disposition of the case, judgment on the pleadings, motion to dismiss. We're seeking summary judgment. That was argued before Judge Foster in the land court in March. He asked a question which was due on May 1st. We both responded to that. We're waiting for his decision. That decision should, one way or the other, determine where we go forward with the project as to whether or not Brewster Road needs to be built. I would also, for the record, indicate that this lot is the last lot on Brewster Road. There is no other buildable lot on Brewster Road. It's entirely built out. And there are houses all the way on both sides before you get to this particular lot. So from our perspective, we failed to see the necessity of actually building out Brewster Road. Also, when the abutters petitioned the selectmen and filed an affidavit, all but Mr. Oakes, indicating that they did not want Brewster Road to be improved. So the abutters, and I think they were here when we originally, discussed this before the commission, and expressed those same views. In any event, that's the proposal. We're seeking another year. We could seek up to 3 years. We only think we need a year. Again, the only issue is, do we have to construct Brewster Road? And if we don't have to construct Brewster Road, which is the sole issue that's really before the land court now on appeal, as I said, that's a win-win for both the commission and for my client.
Thank you. Is Ms. Crowe on? Can you
Don't see
don't see her?
Attorney Crowe or Mr. Oakes or Mr. Diamond.
Okay. Well, one thing I would like to point out, and it's very clear on this plan, there was cutting that went beyond what was supposed to be cut. Specifically, there was a tree that was not supposed to be cut. And we had asked for a planting plan, which has never been instituted.
What we received, and I would differ from you, we asked for a pre-construction meeting. We had those meetings. The last one was with Ms. Anoja. We went over everything that we were going to cut. Your minutes will reflect that. The submittal I made in response to Attorney Crowe reflects that we specifically pointed out that tree. I provided to you an arborist's opinion with regard to the living nature of that tree. If it wasn't dead, it was on its way out and it was dangerous. It also had a deer stand in it, which was nailed in it with nails which were rusty. The arborist's opinion speaks for itself with regard to the tree. We didn't cut anything that we didn't tell the conservation agent that we were going to cut when we spent 2 hours on site identifying all of the areas that we were going to cut. And that was in part to institute the original planting plan, which required mature willow trees, which we'd have to bring in heavy equipment to install. So, after the cease and desist was vacated by this commission, there was an agreement that we would do a revised planting plan. Mr. Seal and Ms. Noja came up with a planting plan, because what I talked with Liz and I said, look, instead of me determining or us determining what plants we want to do, you tell me what you want. Put your wish list together and give it to me, and if we can do it, we'll let you know. And she did that, and we've agreed to abide by that plan. We will implement that planting plan.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, I think for the sake of the number of new commissioners that haven't been involved in this, basically, all you're looking for tonight is a year's extension, right?
That's correct.
So there's more to come on this, but I don't think we need to get into the weeds.
Get into the weeds tonight.
And I would support an extension.
Yeah, I certainly am not comfortable not supporting an extension. And both of these orders are running concurrently.
That's correct. The first time we came in, because they were segmented, and the nature of 2887 is that one of the conditions is that we can't even apply for a building permit until the roads are completed under 2887. So it didn't make sense to have them run differently. And we asked for 2776 to run concurrent with 2887, which is what you did, which I don't really consider an initial extension. It's just common sense that they run together. So this would be the first extension of both of them for an additional year.
Okay.
So,
but as everything stands right now, our conditions are contingent on 2887, leaving aside whatever appeals are taking place. 2887 happening before 2770.
that's correct. And if something different happens at the land court, we'll come back here
That will
seeking a
change
modification,
things.
obviously.
Okay,
And that was the plan to begin with.
right, and that's the way the conditions are written anyway, so.
And in any event, what my client intends, as of today, is that all of that infrastructure will be put in place in the event Brewster Road is ever built. So if we don't have to build it, at least that infrastructure will be there. It will be over-engineered for whatever drainage it has to take.
Okay. I know none of you were here when this began, and it's been fairly complicated, but as Bert points out, all we really need to do tonight is grant a one-year extension. So I move that we grant a one-year extension for SE 42 2776 and SE 42 2887. May I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Chair Hannafin?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez back on. I'm not sure if we wanted to pause and see if he.
I want to finish these, and then we'll have him
Okay.
come in, because these are, I think, pretty straightforward. We have 162 Bay Avenue. I think this is still in a holding pattern.
Yes.
So I move to continue SE 42 2923 to June 20th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2945, 55 Constellation Road. This is
Yes, this is
in
been
compliance?
constructed in compliance with the approved site plan. Here you can see it's a very large garage with some sort of in-law structure above it, but everything has been.
Everything is met
completed.
the conditions. So I move that we approve a certificate of compliance for SE 42 2945, 55 Constellation Road. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2975 and 2975A to Deshi 160 Bay Avenue. I believe we still have an outstanding issue, so
Yes.
I move to continue this until June 2nd. Oh, wait a okay, never mind. I move to continue this to June 20th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2984.
No movement.
25 Carolyn Circle. Any movement on correcting the
No,
deficiency
no
here?
movement as of yet.
Okay, I move to continue to June 20th. A second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2989, Safe Harbor, Green Harbor Marina. Everything here is
Yeah,
in compliance in,
came out well, and it looks great too compared to the old
Compared to
blocks
what
that
was
used
there?
to be there.
okay. I move to issue a certificate of compliance for SE 42 2989, Green Harbor Marina. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 3069 is 134 Surf Avenue. They're going to be building a patio, it appears,
Yeah.
and
There was a brick patio proposed, and there's a large pile of bricks on the property, but nothing has been constructed yet. I would suggest holding off on issuing the COC until all work has been
until we
completed.
get clarification on that.
yeah.
Okay. I move to continue SE 42 3069 to June 20th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 42 2914, 77 Cherry Street. This property is under 2-year monitoring for the success of plantings that were done. And we have received the first year, but not the second year. And there was damage to trees at the front of the property that needs to be mitigated with the planting of probably 3 additional cedars in there. So I think we need to continue this until that gap there is corrected and we have a final monitoring report, which will be when, Mike? When will the next monitoring report?
I believe that would be next year. I'm not absolutely certain, but I believe we received
We have one report
as of
dated
recently.
now, but we need another.
Was turned
so
in with
that's
the
a year
submittal
out.
of the COC request, but we do need another. The eastern red cedars on the property still have tags on them from the garden store, so
Okay.
it's important to see that they're well established.
Yeah.
Also, there was some damage to the eastern red cedars in the front of the home. As you can see, these 2 were cut. Those are the stumps right there.
Yep.
And also, this one has been damaged by construction vehicles exiting and entering the property. So I believe that 3 eastern red cedars, replacing those and the equivalent number would be sufficient.
Okay. And they're actually asking for a partial
Yes.
COC?
I would the part of the partial was for the plantings, so I would suggest to not issue the
deny.
partial because we're still out waiting for the monitoring reports and the damaged trees have to be
Okay.
replaced.
I move to table SE 422914 until such time as we have another monitoring report and the trees are replanted along the front of the property. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. Okay, and if Mr. Martin would like to try to come on again, I will entertain what he has to say. Are you there, Mr. Martina?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. My apologies. I'm at work.
What
So
would you
in
like
regards
to
to
tell us?
the dumpster, it was delivered on Monday. I just haven't been able to get out there to put the debris in the dumpster, which will happen within the next week.
Okay,
And then in regards to the blanket, I know I put some more down on the back side of the house, as per Mike's request, which seems to be doing its job. The grass is all growing. I'm just going to ask that we leave the rest as is, just based on the fact that there is no erosion and there is some plantings coming through and vegetation. I know the main concern was the slope behind the retaining wall, which has been holding up with no issues so far.
yeah, I mean, we were
So-
concerned with the entire slope, not just behind the retaining wall. I would ask, and other commissioners can certainly chime in, but I would ask that you cover that small area, which is just mulch, with some blanket. I think that was part of our original request in the
Yes.
past week or so. That's not a very big deal, I don't think, and I think that would be prudent.
Okay, I agree. It's not that big of a deal. I
Okay.
just didn't see the need at this point, but
Well, we've gotten this far. I'd like to, and everything's working. I would not want to see something go wrong in that one spot, just, because it didn't have its blanket. So if you would do that, I think that would be a good idea.
And for clarification, that would be the entire area between the planted oak trees and the the hay bale and siltation fence?
Yes.
Okay. So along the whole length of that 50-foot buffer zone, essentially.
Well, no, I'm looking at the gap there.
Oh, just between,
Just the gap.
just between plantings
Yeah.
within that area? Okay, so plantings should be left alone, and then the
Yes.
erosion control blanket shall be placed around the existing plantings?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep. And do you know what the plan is for the replacement of the dead trees, Mr. Martina?
At the moment, I don't. I know we do have a schedule in which we're going to replace them, but as far as removing and replacing, I don't have the exact plan.
Okay, we just want to make sure you're going to be able to get in there to do that. So I guess the house is, the construction thus far is where it is, so it's too late if you're going to have to do that by hand, but, okay. I think we're good then. Sorry we couldn't hear you earlier, but
That's all
thank
right.
you for staying on. So,
Thank you.
at this point, if you can just put some blanket in that gap, I think that will be a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our business tonight. I move to adjourn the Town of Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of June 5th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.